did Raquel Alexander and Susan Schultz, and they wanted to see what type of return lobbyists would get on their huge investment on something known as the American Jobs Creation Act of 2004. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with this act, basically back in 2004, all of these multinational corporations started lobbying Congress because they wanted to stop paying 35% tax on the profits that they brought back to the United States from abroad. Okay, so they lobbied, and what happened is this act took the tax rate from 35% down to 5%.
Now, we've covered this story a lot because they're asking for another tax holiday today, right? And so it turns out the guys who said they were going to create jobs, of course, did not create jobs. They cut tens of thousands of jobs, some of the top recipients of the money. But why this story is interesting is because it gives you a sense of how valuable that lobbying was for the guys who got to take those billions of dollars home and didn't have to create a damn job with it.
When it comes to lobbying and the rate of return on your lobbying efforts, it's really difficult to keep track of that, and researchers have tried in the past because a lot of it is very secretive, right? But this wasn't secretive, and what I love is that these two researchers did a really great job of tracking down how much money they lobbied and how much they got back in return. What they found from this study was that after the law, companies only pay the 5% on profits, and because of that, the return on the lobbying investment was 22,000%.
You understand that? 22,000%. Now, we've done a million stories here on the Young Turks that show you that the best thing money can buy in America is a U.S. senator or congressman, right? But this is the perfect example of it. They did a great job of tracking the money and show you, hey, you know what? If you actually want to make money in this country, don't bother creating a good product. That's why our system is so corrupt and needs to be changed so thoroughly right now. Don't bother busting your ass trying to start a small business and grow it, etc. Just go buy a senator and a bunch of senators and congressmen. They're cheap anyway. You invest a little bit of money and they give you billions in return. And so the reason this stands out is because they did such a great job of actually figuring out the rate of return, which is colossal in a regular business. If you got 1,000% return, it would be amazing. It would be near miraculous. 22,000% return?
They got $220 for every dollar they invested in their lobbying effort.
Man, if you did that in the real business world, you know, they'd investigate you. They'd say, look, I mean, are you doing something funny business? Are you Bernie Madoff? What are you, right? Well, when you go to Washington, it's pretty easy. The problem isn't big government. The problem isn't big business. Those things create separate problems of their own. But when they come together, big money and big business, what leads to is big corruption. That's the problem in Washington, and that's what this points out. That's why it's not just my favorite story of the day. It's one of my favorite